presidency has announced that a certified document will now be valid for 6 months for government job applications. Now, in the past, government departments rejected applications if the documents attached were certified more than 3 months ahead of time. Now, for reaction on this, I'm joined in the studio by Ayanda Kota, spokesperson for the Unemployed People's Movement. A very good afternoon to you, Ayanda.
Good afternoon to you.
So your reaction to this, I'm sure you may be quite delighted, the fact that you don't have to keep on running up and down to get your documents certified every 3 months. But why is this a matter of concern for you?
Well, we welcome the decision by the President, and it is a step in the right direction. But however, our major concern remains. The announcement by the President does not deal with the structural issue of the unemployment. You'd remember that unemployment in this country has reached alarming proportions. It's just over 29%. That's a narrow definition. The broader definition, the real unemployment, is standing at 43%. So it is not dealing with that. That's number one. Number two, there are no prospects of full employment in South Africa and anywhere in the world, according to the report by the International Labour Organization, ILO. So we think it's a step in the right direction, but it does not deal with the real issue. We do welcome it.
So what are the other impediments from a governmental perspective to those who are trying to find work?
Well, there's also an issue of experience and for job seekers, that they are fresh out of school or out of university. When you apply, they seek experience, so that continues to be an impediment. There's also an issue of internship. There's also an issue of stipend, whereby you're out of work or you're looking for work, the stipend is only between 2,000 and 3,000, which is absolutely nothing. So there are those issues that the unemployed continue to raise as major concerns as well.
So as far as the stipend is concerned, or what type of figures are you looking at? What would make sense as a stipend?
Well, you'd remember that in terms of the earnings, the one person in this country earns 20% of the South African economy. 90% is earned by the 65% is earned by the 10%, but the 90% of the population get only 35%, and that continue to be racial and agendaed. So that's number one. And number two, we think it must be in line with the inflation, and because you'd agree with me, that is absolutely nothing. You use the very same money for fare. The last point that I think it's important, you'd remember that South Africa is the most unequal society in the world. 90% of the population in this country lives on 7% of the wealth, 10% lives on 93% of the wealth, 1% lives on 67% of the wealth. And one of the causes of inequalities is unemployment. So we've got a long road to go. Thus, we think the President has to deal with the real issue.
There was a workshop that took place earlier on this year around March, the Assembly of Unemployed. What were some of the issues that were discussed in that workshop? Because that, I understand, was a coalition of various organizations that rally for the unemployed.
Well, one of the issues that we fundamentally, which is at the center of our discussion as the Assembly of the Unemployed, is an issue of the Income Basic Grant, BIG. We think the unemployed people in this country must get the BIG, because you'd remember what we have in terms of grants. Grants is it's only focusing on those that cannot be part of the workforce. So it will be your children, it will be those that are disabled. It will be those that are 60 years and above. But the question, what about the destitutes, those that are between 18 and 59? Because they are sinking in poverty. And also you'd remember that unemployment means no work, unemployment means no dignity. Unemployment means no shelter. Unemployment is worse than the HIV, which is killing our communities. Unemployment is the virus that has killed our communities. It has turned our communities into concentration camps. Look at the Cape Flats in Cape Town. People are just drowning in drugs. Many communities, the violence in our communities, the domestic violence because of the unemployment. So we think they are the people. They have to live. And also you'd remember the state is a duty bearer in terms of the human rights, in terms of United Nations Declaration as well. So we think it is important for the state to provide the basic grant, at least of 2,000, and to the unemployed to be able to look for work.
And how long do you envisage this grant going on for? Because I know there are provisions, if you've been working for a period of time and are unemployed, that you can claim from PAYE for a certain number of months. So based on your assumption or the plans that you've been putting in place, who would qualify for this BIG, and for how long would they be entitled to a certain stipend from government?
Well, we think as long as you're unemployed, you must qualify for the BIG. That's number one. But number two, we also think that this country needs to declare unemployment as a disaster that has befallen the humanity in our country. Then there has to be conversation to say, in the crisis of this unemployment, what do we do? Because there are no prospects of full employment anymore. So this country, and with the technology, and taking over, replacing manual work, which you call fourth industrial revolution. It's not supposed to be a threat, but it is also a threat to this unemployment we are talking about. So yeah, you've got all of this. We think it is important for the government to declare unemployed a disaster, and conversation has to take place. As a result, the Assembly of the Unemployed is convening the job summit of the unemployed, by the unemployed, for the unemployed, in February next year, and the invitation will be extended to the president to see what are the plans on the unemployed in this country. Because many young people are just loitering in the township. They've been turned into zombies. They wake up in the morning, they've got absolutely nothing to do. Their skills are wasted. Their talent is wasted, because there's absolutely nothing that they can do. So unemployment is also a violation of human rights. Unemployment is also a greatest thief of hope.
And we'll be looking at that, Ayanda, next year, come the summit, and to see what are the outcomes from that. And hopefully you'll have various industries there as well as government. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.